Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Kev from the flight deck. On behalf of Xplane Addicted and Passenger Effects, welcome aboard.
Had to add that in, my little passenger thing here. It's kind of cool little plug-in. Okay, what we're going to do is try, capital T, to input a very simple flight plan into 737-800, add a few waypoints and see if the thing will actually go there. I've watched 6,429 videos, and out of that I've been able to learn some things and try different things and whatever. Sort of come up with something anyway that kind of works. I just hit my status and it comes up with this, the active database, 20 July of 17. I don't know why that's not, whatever. Whatever. Let's just clear that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into flight plan, and everything here, as you can see, is nothing. So we're going to just type in our first, our origin, and where we're going to find that is a place you've probably been as many times as I have, over 6,000 times, whatever. Detailed flight planning. Let's go into that. This program is just awesome, beautiful program. I've watched a whole bunch of tutorials on it. It does a whole bunch of stuff, but most of it's still like way over my head. So let's try CYXE. I'm in Saskatchewan. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, and it's the coldest place. CYQ, coldest place in the actual world, believe it or not. You might say, well, Jamie, why do you live here? I live here because I'm crazy. That's why. Only a meatball would live here. Okay. I noticed that in a lot of these little short little, you know, this is generating my report now. So I have these little, you know, these are my waypoints. And I know some of these little short ones like this YXE and this Antos 6, it's got a 6 at the end, probably doesn't work. I'm sure it doesn't. You know, you can go to view more routes and see if there's anything there with, you know, sort of less, you know, whatever. Let me see. Yeah, well, we can try this one here. Click on that and close it. YXC 3515. Yeah, see, these short ones like this, I wouldn't even bother typing in that waypoint, because even if it does show up, these little tiny guys like this seem to be very close to where you're actually taking off, and you seem to have trouble. So let's enter our CYXE. That is our origin. That's in Saskatoon. And we're going to CYQR. That's in Regina. That's our destination. Flight number is optional, but 1234. I'm going to just put my initials. Okay, now this is where those little waypoints are coming in handy, because we have to go via, in other words, directly to what? Okay, well, because an airplane's just not going to fly to Saskatoon. It has to go to a certain spot, then to another certain spot, and fly a certain pattern, so it's able to line up with the runways correctly. That's why they do that. So it's not just kind of like, oh, okay, there's a runway, let's go for it. Okay, like J515. I'm going to assume that does not work. J515, because I've done enough of these that, well, you never know. Sometime maybe it will. No, it won't work. Okay, I didn't think so. So let's go back down here into SimBrief and see we got LTAX. So EL tax, and see if that one goes. ELTAX. Just because one doesn't work doesn't necessarily mean the next one won't work. So LTAX, and we're going to again try to put it to. Okay, look at that. It went to. So from Regina to destination is, from Saskatoon to Regina, and it's going direct via to LTAX. So it's already starting to, it's got one waypoint there. All right. So you notice this little execute button has a little green light on it. Whenever that happens, and keep your eye on it, because it's very important. I don't know if some things don't get saved properly, or I don't know. If you don't do this, things just get stupid, and you know, you fly over waypoints, you come close to them, then you're flying over them, past them, and it's stupid. So hit your execute number, and you already saw something sort of change blinker here. Okay, so for our next waypoint, and there's no place else I can put it on here, so I have to go to next page. And here I have via and to. So let's go back down to SimBrief here, and so let's try Antos. Okay, so we're going to try to see if we can fly through Antos. A-N-T-O-S. And it's going via to, again up here, to. There we go. And again, the execute light comes on, so we're going to execute that and make sure that's happening. Now the third one has got numbers, as I remember here. What is it? Yeah, Antos 6. I'm going to guess that this is not going to work again. A-N-T-O-S 6, because it has a number. And we're going to go there. And of course, not in database. Just what I thought. Now, whenever there's anything flashing here inside these brackets, when the brackets are flashing, I mean, clear it away. Get rid of it, okay? You don't want any of this stuff to be here, so just make sure it's gone, okay? And again, so we're going to save that to Antos. Good, so we executed it. Now we're going to go back into our flight plan, and we can see we're going directly through LTAX. And if I hit my legs now, this is going to be the total flight plan, but there's still something else we have to do. And you see it's got some information here now. It's saying that we're taking off from the airport and we're going 43 nautical miles through LTAX, 72 nautical miles. None of this kind of stuff is filled out yet, but it will be. And this auto and inhibit, it's very important that this is set to auto. Sometimes you're pushing buttons and you don't notice it, or for some reason it's on inhibit and it's not going to work. Okay, so that's first of all. After that's all done, let's go up to our climb altitude. And here at 18,000 feet, which is our top altitude right now, set is 290 knots, which is Mach 0.74. And they're from up to 10,000 feet, our speed is 250 knots. I can go ahead and add another one in here if I want. Let's say, we'll say 200 knots up to, 6,000 feet. Okay, we'll do that. And that's added in there. We don't need to save it. It's not yet anyway. Okay, so we're going to go into our cruise, CRZ. That's our cruising altitude, which is shows right here 300 knots at what? Well, we'll say 6,000. Okay, I'll be kind of interested to see what this does here. Okay, because when we go at our climb altitude, we got 200 knots, okay? And when we got a cruise, it shows 250 at 6,000. And so we're going to change this here just to make sure that there's no conflict. Okay, and I'll just put 200 slash 5,000. Oh, sorry, 5,000. 5,000, and we'll enter that right here. So there's no conflict between those two, the cruises and okay, 250 at 6,000. Good. All right. I could go back and I could, change, this to 300 if I wanted to, but whatever. I'm not climbing at 18,000 feet. This is a short flight, only 120 or something like that nautical miles. So we'll just leave that. Okay. So we've gone that. Now we go to our destination, DES. What this tells us, it's our navigational. This comes up with a flight number. Just leave that, whatever it is. Don't try screwing with it. It has the information we just put in. But this VPA, we want to change it, or I change that. You don't have to change it because it comes, at that. And what that is your glide slope, I'm pretty sure. Whether it makes it longer, wider, whatever it does. But it seems to work for me. So I changed my VPA from 2.5 to 3. Okay, now we start getting into the really fun stuff. Again, it hasn't asked me to execute. I keep on looking for that. Departure arrival index. Okay, so we're going to go to our departure. And this tells us that we're at the CYXE departure in Saskatoon. Now, when I punched this thing and booted up the computer, I wasn't sure exactly what it said for a runway. So let's go back and just look. Okay, where it says runway 15. So let's resume flight. And we'll check runway 15. Now if that's selected, that's going to tell us to execute it. Now it's the acting runway. All right. So that's good. Go back to our departure and arrivals. And got to be careful here because we're departing from CYXE. We don't want to arrive back here. Okay, so because yeah. So let's always make sure you're looking at the right spot, and it's always going to be like your destination will be the last thing on this list. If you're going state to state, there might be 15 things on this list because you got to stop, layovers or whatever the case, gas, whatever. So just the very last one is going to be your the runway you need select. Okay, so let's go here. Now this gives me all sorts of options, and stars. Okay, which is our standard approaching arrival. If I go down here and I go to next page, I see there's other stuff here. TAC 13, TAC 31. Like, what does all that mean? Like, it's just whatever. That's insane. So let's go back here. Okay, this runway here. What the heck did I do? Previous page. Okay, right there, and previous page right there. Okay. So when you're on this page, you can go ahead, next page, and then just previous page. I know that ILS has something to do with your approach that's coming in, where it tells the airplane exactly, it runs it up, it lines it up exactly right onto the runway. And, there's a certain part where you hit the autopilot off, and it's like, I don't know, I think 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever it is, I'm not sure. Again, I'm just a guy trying to figure out something here. So I'm going to do the ILS 13. Now that's mostly a guess, but because of this ILS, that's why I'm doing that. So I've selected it and hit execute. Now it's my acting runway there. Okay, so departure is on 15 and arrival is on 13Z. All right, so now we're going to go into our this section here. That is, we're not going to actually worry about that right now. Okay, we're going to look here on this prog button. This is going to tell you the list that we're doing, and this TD, that's your top of descent. Now, I think that this is in nautical miles because it's distance. I'm guessing it's 127 nautical miles. If I look at my legs page, look at that. I've come to an error onto all of a sudden since I punched in the runway numbers. This is very easy to fix. I guess if you know how, but I think I know how to fix this. If this discontinuity was on the bottom line, I'd have to go to the next page to find the next available and appropriate waypoint, which would be ZRS. However, it's not. We have this CHEPS. Okay, now this is all added automatically. So as soon as I click on that CHEPS, you see it's here. It's like I've typed it in, and now I press it on this line that says then discontinuity. CHEPS goes there, and the ZRS, which was on the next page, is now on that page, and then runway 13 is here. This other little stuff here, this hold and this, I don't know how to get rid of that or why it's even on there. It doesn't appear to be a problem. But now when I hit my legs page like this, see I'm taking off a runway 15, 43 nautical miles. It shows me what my speed is, 17 nautical miles, what my speed is. It's showing me at this CHEPS at 250. I'll be changing my glide slope or the way the plane turns, I think, to 3 degrees. And then coming down to CHEPS is 7 nautical miles. Now this is like sort of right on top of Regina where we're wanting to come. Now you notice these lines here with our cruise altitude is 6,000. But after we get past the first waypoint, we have to, the arrow is down, we have to be below 6,000. So the next waypoint, we have to be under 4,000. That's why those arrows are pointing this way. And if I go down to the next page, while it's showing me at runway 13, 1936, I think that's the ground level. It's pretty close. I think that's what that is. So what I do is I come up here, and I'll probably, once I get to this waypoint here where I have to be under 4,000, I'll change it to lower than 3,100. I'll change it to 3,000. Okay, just so I don't have to worry about changing it here or whatever the case. And then what should happen, excuse me, is whenever you're trying to lower your altitude, if you're flying too high, when you hit this, like I think this VS button, you can scroll and put negative amount of feet, like 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,500, 2,500, whatever, and it'll decrease its altitude 2,500 feet per minute. I don't want to worry about that because I want to have, as soon as I press this, or as soon as I turn and dial in my 3,100 feet here, because the computer is running the actual airplane, this should come up right away and start kind of going nuts and calculating different things to try and figure out, you know, to be able to get to the proper speed. So now that that's all sort of in place, we know exactly where we're going. We don't have to worry about the CO route. What that is that if I had saved this route previously and loaded it, this would all come up and it would have the name of the route that I put there. It could be CYXE to CYQR, and maybe, I don't know, 2020. Whatever the case, it would show that there, but that's not important now. And that's all good there. So, and again, our top of descent is going to be 100, I believe, like I said, I believe 127 nautical miles out. So it's basically almost once we get to 6,000, we're already declining. So we don't have to worry about sort of kind of calling in a top of descent at a certain particular time because it's such a short flight. Okay, so the next thing to do, I'm recording this, and so I'm going to do it in two different parts on my side. We're going to get on the runway and start these things up and get it going. So just hang tight.